The materials needed to make the snowman: a small amount of orange yarn. I use Big Twist. I have Mainstays acrylic yarn. That's the kind you get at Walmart. I have a 3.75mm hook, darning needle, my Fiskars scissors. You're going to need the Addi 46 pin. You can also use the Centro 48 pin. Lastly, you'll need a 22 pin machine. I have the Addi, but Centro I know makes a 22 pin as well. So using your 46 pin machine or your 48, cast on using your white yarn. Slower version of how to cast on I will provide in the link in the description box below. Starting at the black pin, you will go in and out of each pin, in and out, all the way around all 46 or 48 pins. Should end up on the outside of the last white pin. And here you will put your yarn through the yarn holder. I am using a tensioner. This helps ensure a good even tension throughout the entire project. So it goes up through the top and down into the tensioner. Reset your counter to 0. Start off the first 2 rows a little slow to make sure that each pin is going to catch the yarn okay. Sometimes this yarn will be finicky with the Centros. It works really well on the Addi, but the Centro, I noticed this yarn does not work well. It will drop and tuck a lot of stitches. Once you have it going pretty well and you can start knitting smoothly, you'll do a total of 100 rows. One tip is I like to take the yarn out of the skein and just place it on the ground to make sure I have a really even tension throughout, because sometimes if it gets stuck on the skein and then it'll mess up kind of the tension around the machine, and that can also cause a lot of tucked and drop stitches on the Centro when it doesn't have a nice even tension throughout the project. For my Addi, I bought the attachment on Amazon and I have the 4-volt Skills screwdriver. It's 4-volt only, so it's much slower than your standard screwdrivers you would buy at a big box store. But this is slower and it doesn't go any faster than I could hand crank. And the key to using one of these without and to not damage your machine is put a good eye on your yarn, because if you have any knots, it's going to get stuck and it's going to mess it up. And just keep a nice even tension and keep your eye on it. And if you hear any weird cranking sounds, you got to stop. Once you get 100 rows, cut about a foot off your white yarn and start casting off of your machine. Grab your darning needle, thread it with the white yarn. The way I like to cast off is I crank around all the way till right before that first pin, and I'll start grabbing each loop around and hold the next loop down with my finger to prevent it from falling off the machine, because I have had it happen where that does that and you kind of got to fish for it and any drop stitches from that. Continue casting off all the way around. If you need a slower demo, I'll again link that in the description box below. Once you've pulled it off your machine, you'll cinch each end tight and secure just like a beanie. So you're going to draw one end inside the other. But I like to go ahead and cinch this side tight and kind of go around the loops again to ensure it's really secured. You don't have to do that, but for me, that ensures that it's really going to stay closed and it won't come undone. And then I'll knot it as well. Just put my needle through the other side, make sure I grab that top portion of it and go ahead and tie it like that. And then find your other end piece here. My hand in the middle, stick the needle through the middle, grab the needle, just in case I accidentally grab another stitch, which I've done before. And pull it up through the middle. Like I said, you're gonna do like you would for a beanie. We'll grab the other end, pull that tight, secure that end as well. I don't really recommend this yarn. I would go with I Love This Yarn or Caron Simply Soft when you use the machines. It's just a lot smoother on the machine, because even on the Addi, that Walmart yarn has issues. Red Heart's Super Saver yarn sometimes is a little too thick as well, although it's better, I think, than the Mainstays Walmart yarn for your machines. And I think the Addi is more forgiving with different yarns than the Centros are, definitely more than the Michaels Quick Knits machine. All right, so you have what looks like a beanie. And the next step now is to cut your yarn ends, because you're going to use those to shape the head and the body. You won't need these anymore. Just make sure you've really done a good enough job of securing it and cut those ends. So what we're going to be doing next from here is you're going to be threading in your one of those ends that you just cut around every other stitch to shape the head. So I'll use the shorter end, because the longer end I'll use for the bottom to cinch the bottom closed. Start grabbing every other stitch here. You want to grab about 1/3 the length of the total size of it. Grab 2, skip 2, grab 2, skip 2, and keep doing that all the way around to shape the head. When you get to the end, you'll probably find that you have 2 in between the 2 yarn ends. So I just grab in the middle there and bring it to the same hole as the first yarn end like that. It's basically going to be a drawstring. So when you cinch it closed, it'll create the head. But before we do that, we need to shape the eyes and make the nose. So we'll go ahead and put this aside. Grab your orange yarn and your 3.75 millimeter hook. Make a magic circle. Insert your hook under the first X and over the second one. Bring it around and flip it towards you. And now yarn over with the working yarn. Pull it through the loop. That's your magic circle. Pull it tight a little bit to close it up. And inside the magic circle, you're going to make 6 single crochets. So put your hook inside the circle. Yarn over, grab the yarn, pull it through the circle. Now you have 2 loops on your hook and do your single crochet. Again, put your hook through the circle, around the yarn, yarn over again, and pull it through the 2 loops on the hook. There's 2. Put your hook in the circle, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. Now you have 3, 4, 5, and 6. To close this circle, grab the yarn end right here, pull it tight, and it should close up that circle. And keep pulling it. You should have something that looks like almost a half circle now. Put your hook inside of that first stitch right here, and you're going to do single crochet around all 6 stitches. So pull the yarn through. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Next, you're going to do decreases all the way around. You'll put your hook inside that first stitch, yarn over and pull through. Then you'll go into that second stitch, yarn over and pull through. So you should have 3 loops on your hook like this. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Here's your first one. You're doing this 2 more times. So put your hook through the next stitch here, yarn over, and next stitch here. Getting a little tight. Yarn over and pull through. And last one, put your hook through the second to last stitch, and then that final stitch, and pull through, and that's your nose. Fasten off by yarning over and pulling through and cutting the yarn. So there's your nose. We're gonna sew that onto your snowman soon. Make sure you grab your safety eyes as well, because we're gonna work on that next. I am using 12 millimeter eyes and my little tool here to help my fingers put the backing onto the safety eyes, because that can get a little bit hard using your fingers. The nose, go ahead and grab your darning needle. I should have made these ends a little longer. It's my fault for not doing that. But make sure you make yours longer, maybe 8 inches long, to make it easier to work with. And I'll stick the nose kind of in the middle of the face here. I like to do the nose first and then eyes afterwards. So the nose I'll put towards the middle here. You can see where it's kind of in the middle. And just grab one end, pull it through, and grab the other yarn end, and the same thing, put it through a different stitch like so. Pull it through, snowman inside out. Secure it. Now, if I had a longer piece, I would sew the ends on there. So that's what you should do, and that's what I'm going to have to do with another piece of yarn, because what I cut was too small. Next, we'll do the eyes. I like to put them almost horizontal to the nose. So again, I did about 2 stitches away from the nose and 1 stitch up from the center of the nose. But you can mess around, so you can like see, oh, do I want them to look more like that, or do I want them to look like this? It's totally up to you. That's just how I like to do it. So 2 stitches over and 1 up. And I use 12 millimeter ones because with the knit projects, you don't want the eyes to come through the yarn, which tends to do it more so than, say, a crocheted project. Just make sure you snapped it onto the same divot on each side. So I did it on the first one. And there's your little snowman's face. Next, grab your stuffing, and we'll stuff the head and cinch the head tight. I'm using Polyfill Premium Polyester. Move to part 2 so that you can learn how I do the scarf and the hat next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in part 2.